Kaka ji, you are kindly requested to please throw some light on secret of life. If we look at the life of, say, alcoholic, for him, the bar would be the life. For someone who is a saint or a sage, he would probably be sitting in the caves of the Himalayas and he would lead his life that way. But if we look at a common man's life, his entire life goes fighting with the struggles. Please elaborate on the secret of life.
All the lives that you have described just now, their common thread is pure consciousness. And the ultimate goal of all these lives is to achieve bliss. Those who are meditating, sitting in the caves, they are also seeking that bliss only. And those who are sitting in the bar and having drinks, they are also looking for that same bliss only. And those who are living a common day-to-day life, moving ahead slowly, facing all the hardships and the struggles, even their ultimate goal and destination is to reach and feel that ultimate bliss only. So the ultimate goal of everyone's life is to achieve that pure bliss, that consciousness, and to attain oneself. Their paths can be different, their resources can also be different, but their goal is same. You can reach Mumbai from Delhi by an aeroplane, by Rajdhani, by a Garib Rath, or by any other passenger train. You are going to reach Mumbai only, the airport, or otherwise the Bombay Central Station. The speeds may be different. Due to the resources, the time spent may be different, but goal is same. So the goal of life is to attain oneself, to realize and experience your real form, which is of pure bliss. The entire mankind that you know and you see around, their goal is to finally achieve that joy, that pure bliss. Even though the person may be an alcoholic, still he tries to achieve that goal of bliss only.
So Kakaji, can we assume that to attain that supreme power, to attain that bliss, any path can be used?
Well, the thing is that any path which is well created, which is experienced, that is the right path. Those who have attained themselves going on those predefined paths, they have left some landmarks on those paths to help the others who are coming behind to achieve their destination. Those are the right paths, whereas the lost paths are certainly not the right paths. They are an illusion, stupidity, and sheer ignorance. As vast is the Almighty Himself, so are His infinite ways. Anyone would begin his journey with a favorable way. The amount of money that I have in my wallet will let me decide which resource will I choose. If I think I can afford going by air, I'm going to certainly choose that. If I can afford a Rajdhani, I will go by that only. And if I think I cannot afford it at all, I will drop the idea of going. But commitment will be there. because that commitment is your nature to attain yourself. So knowingly or unknowingly, everyone is on that journey of attaining oneself.
Kakaji, in spite of the blessings of the attained ones, why is one still full of fear?
Blessings of Siddh ones are totally selfless. Their blessings were being showered even before your existence. They are being showered while you are existing here, and those blessings will shower even after you have gone. The faith that we have in those blessings and the proportion in which they are less than the absolute is the reason for our fear.
Then why does this faith get weakened?
It weakens because we are too much associated with this body, that I am this body. People consider me so and so, and in this way you start believing this more and the words of the Siddh lesser.
Man just looks at his physical body, just feels it. So isn't this association with the body a natural state?
Man just looks at the body, he knows it, but doesn't understand it. Looking, knowing and understanding, these are three different processes. Looking is a visual process. Knowing is a superficial process, whereas experiencing is an inner journey. The science of body, except for the doctors, is not known to the common man. Even the knowledge that the doctors have about the science of the body, that is also quite superficial. Even a doctor doesn't know the complete science of the body. In practicality, during a disease, there are so many fluctuations that a doctor cannot cure it correctly. Many times, the resources that are utilized, even they do not provide a clear picture to reach a definite decision. That is why everyone knows this physical body on a very superficial level only.
Then which is that element which looks and knows this body?
The one who has attained oneself, only he knows his body completely, and that is why the saints have said, "This body is my temple in which the Atmaram or the soul sits as the deity." The saints who have attained themselves, they consider this body as the temple, whereas for a common man, his body is just a physical body, nothing more than that. And this is the reason that by looking at the bodies of the animals and other creatures around, he develops a similar feeling for his body also. No man pays the due respect to his body. If he respects his body, then it is for sure that he is awakened because he has self-respect. He will never have a careless attitude towards his body. He will never exploit his body, will always feel a gratitude towards his physical body. He will always be respectful and thankful towards his physical body. And the reason for this is that wherever he is on his path, on his inner journey, it is all because of this physical body only. The extent to which one's physical body has helped a person without asking for anything in return, that help cannot be compared to even a parent who helps his child.
Kakaji, please elaborate this respect for the body a bit more.
The body through which we express ourselves in this physical world, this body is a source and resource of our expression. In fact, a very big resource. It is through this body's medium that we express our heart and our feelings. We express our consciousness, we express our ego, we express our intellect also. But in spite of being such a big medium of our expression, there exists a certain negative social arrangement which simply fails to pay the due respect to the body because it does not feel the respect towards the body.
Inside us, at the levels of mind, intellect, consciousness, and ego, there is a demand. But it is for the body only, for its own gratification.
Well, the Indian philosophy, the Indian yogis, Indian Siddha, and the Indian scriptures say that. Sant Tukaram ji says, these saints and these yogis have such capability that they illuminate their bodies with pure consciousness. And in their vision, the body is also consciousness. In our vision, the body is lifeless, made of 5 elements. When the life element leaves it, which we call Shiv, it becomes Shav or dead. And then we cremate it, after which the body is nothing more than dust or ash. But the great men who have attained themselves through this body only, by the vision of those great men, by the vision of their experience, this body is no less than that pure consciousness. Sant Tukaram Maharaj says that through Kirtan, my physical body is cosmified. Not only this, the significance of this body is very high. Guru Gorakshnath, who is considered a very renowned Acharya of the Nath sect, he is considered to have accomplished many great powers. And within the Nath sect, he holds a very respectful position. Guru Gorakshnath ji is considered to be holding the second position in the Nath sect. He was the disciple of Machendranath ji. Now in the Nath sect, besides the self-attainment, many great powers are accomplished for the purpose of the benefit of the entire mankind. And those powers become self-activated after being awakened. One doesn't need to exhibit them. So at this level, Guru Gorakshnath Maharaj had already achieved Kaya Siddhi. So he has a level of Kaya Siddhi which we call Vajrakaya. Now he had achieved Vajrakaya Siddhi. The question arises that who is going to certify this, or who is going to authenticate this? A yogi of that caliber only can authenticate this. So he got the news that in Karnataka there is Alam Prabhu, a very great yogi. Only he has the caliber to authenticate his Vajrakaya Siddhi. So Gorakshnath Maharaj ji was on a journey to south when he came to know that at such and such place Alam Prabhu ji is there. So he reached there. They exchanged greetings and were introduced to each other. Alam Prabhu ji also knew that he was a great yogi of the Nath sect and also a form of Lord Shiva. So Alam Prabhu ji gave Gorakshnath ji a big honor. He honored him in the best possible way that he could at that point of time. Apart from this, he also honored him on a spiritual level. Guru Gorakshnath ji stayed there for some time. One day, Guru Gorakshnath ji, in a mutual conversation, said to Alam Prabhu Maharaj, "People say I am endowed with Vajrakaya Siddhi. But do I really have this Siddhi or not? I am not sure about. So can you please authenticate if I really possess this Siddhi or not?" In his response, Alam Prabhu Maharaj ji asked, "Gorakshnath ji, please tell me, what is the way to authenticate that your body is Vajrakaya?" So Gorakshnath ji said, "Please use a sharp sword to pierce me or dissect my body, to cut me in two. But if nothing happens to me, that will prove that I have a Vajrakaya." Alam Prabhuji said, "All right, I will do it for you. But let me tell you that I don't have any idea about this." And this is a characteristic of the enlightened people, that they are really very humble and polite. They are really extremely grounded and very simple and down-to-earth people. Such a humble yogi, affectionate And a great devotee, Alam Prabhuji, finally said, "By your permission, I will do that which you want me to do." So Gorakshnathji then handed over a really sharp sword to him and asked him, "Mahaprabhu, please use it. Please use it on my body." So as soon as Alam Prabhu Maharaj started using that sharp sword on his body, so as soon as he tried using that sword to cut him through, it banged and bounced back. And Alam Prabhuji tried hitting from top to bottom at many places, but every time the sword would just bang and bounce back. So Alam Prabhuji Maharaj said, "Gorakshnathji Maharaj, yes, your body is Vajrakaya." So he was really proud of his Vajrakaya. He had also heard somewhere that Alam Prabhuji Maharaj also holds a Siddhakaya. He was really curious to know what was the difference between his Vajrakaya and Alam Prabhuji's Siddhakaya. He wanted to know it. So Gorakshnathji says, "May I also use this really sharp sword to explore about your Kaya Siddhi?" Alam Prabhuji says that, "Gorakshnathji, I am an ordinary and simple devotee of the Almighty, an affectionate devotee. Whether I possess any siddhi or not, I am not aware of. If you have the know-how, then please go ahead and do it. Even if I possess this siddhi, it won't make a big difference. And if I don't have it, it doesn't matter at all." So after getting the due permission for this, Gorakshnathji took that sharp sword which Alam Prabhuji had used upon his body. With that same sword, Gorakshnathji started experimenting by hitting on Alam Prabhuji's body. He used the sword from the head till the feet, but the sword would simply go through his body as if moving in air only. This experiment went on for about 1 hour. Gorakshnathji was himself drenched in sweat. Finally, he came to the realization. He placed the sword at Alam Prabhuji's feet and said, "Maharaj, the fact is that my Kaya Siddhi is way inferior to yours. My Kaya Siddhi is the Vajrakaya Siddhi. And the Siddhi that you possess is the Akash Siddhi, which means your body is just like the space around. Just like nobody can cut apart or dissect the space, nobody can even deform the space. The significance of the space is so high, but I would say the significance of your Siddhi is even higher, which you don't even claim. So I have to admit this, that your Akash Kaya Siddhi is way superior than my Vajrakaya Siddhi. I simply surrender before you the arrogance that I had about my Vajrakaya Siddhi, that I'm leaving at your feet and simply going away. Please bless me." These yogis had such great physical capabilities. But just look at the greatness of Alam Prabhuji. The way his consciousness had become vast like the space, in the same way he had made his body also like the space. His physical body and his supreme element have merged into one now. And this goes to prove this fact now, that when Gyaneshwar Maharaj says through the medium of Chidvilasvad that whatever you can see around or whatever you can feel That is pure consciousness and nothing else. Your body is also like the consciousness. It is very alive, not non-living. Because of our mind, intellect, consciousness and ego being non-alive, we assume that our body is also like that. And this is the reason that all the efforts that we put in to make it feel comfortable and good, all these efforts continue to remain shallow. We cannot gratify our bodies in the right proportion. Rather, we squeeze out many times more gratification from the body. We are so ungrateful that we continue to squeeze out all the worldly pleasures and comforts from this body, but never try to give comfort to this body at all. And if we feel even a little shameful about this ungratefulness, all the seekers should start paying respect to their bodies from this very moment. Even the common person should be respectful towards his body. If you domesticate a cow, you feed it with food and water. But at the back of the mind is the expectation of extracting milk from it. This cow in the form of your physical body has been bestowed upon you by the Almighty. Have you ever really thought about it or expressed your gratitude towards it? We always seem to be treating our bodies with cruelty, but never with the love or the respect that it deserves. And this is the reason that overlooking this non-demanding friend of ours, that we suffer from so many diseases and so many ailments. And because our bodies and minds are connected to each other, our mental health is also suffering. One whose body and mind are suffering from ailments, his entire life is full of the diseases and full of ailments. In order for the joy to enter his life and make him feel happy, he must get rid of all these diseases. In Maharashtra, Sant Ramdas Maharaj Ji has done a tremendous job through the medium of Balopasana. He said that the Almighty God, the Ram, resides in this divine physical body, resides in this divine temple. Therefore, the look after, proper maintenance and the security of this temple has to be done at an extremely high level. If the Prime Minister or the President of a country wishes to visit some city someday, the preparations for his arrival begin a month before. But the Almighty is already residing in your body, and you are totally ungrateful for this divine blessing. This is the reason for the fall of the mankind. Man is totally careless about the preciousness of his physical body, the due respect for the Almighty's arrangement. That is why the country which possesses a good physical strength, it also possesses a good mental strength. That country is really great. Its tradition and culture are great, and it truly deserves to be worshipped. We have degraded this divine country to such an extent that whether we deserve any respect or not, this I totally leave up to you to figure out.
Kaka ji, sometimes it looks as if the life has gone down the drain. Please suggest something for the future, because the life is full of obstacles.
Well, your life has gone down the drain. The realization of this fact itself is a sort of enlightenment. The person who knows what he has lost will also be aware about the fact that what he has to achieve. The very moment he gets awakened, his life starts moving towards enlightenment. He won't be afraid of the obstacles. He will move right through the obstacles or over them and finally attain his goal. A surge of inspiration must burst inside him. He must experience a strong sense of ambition as to what he has to do and what his goal is, and what all can he do to finally attain it. When such wisdom awakens inside him and gets activated, then he can muster all the required resources to finally attain his goal. If your own life is driven by other people's advice or suggestion, you will not be able to live it properly. You are the sole mentor of your own life. You have to advise yourself and take decisions. Others' advice is going to be of no use, because his advice comes from his point of view and his level. The level at which you are, or the situation in which you are, he may not be aware of, but you are totally aware of your situation. The knowledge of that very situation is enough to resolve the obstacles in your path.
No matter how much you try, there always remains certain uneasiness or tension in the grihast or family life.
See, first of all, we need to really understand what is grihasthashram. You are born in your parents' house, you grow up, get some good education, finally get a nice job, or start your own business. This alone is not grihast. Only after understanding grihast can you understand grihasthashram. In Bharatvarsh, we have the system of ashrams. The Indian Rishi Munis, the saints, the attained ones, the philosophers, all of them have done some big research on their very own lives and finally created a system of phases of life which is quite timeless and universal. According to the place, time or situation, there may be some changes in it, but otherwise there is no scope or possibility of any changes in it. These great men have divided the normal life into 4 parts. The lifespan was assumed to be of 100 years. Out of that, the first part is of 25 years and is called the Brahmacari Ashram. The life from 25 years to 50 years is called the Grihasthashram. The life from 50 years to 75 years is called Vanprasthashram. And the life from 75 to 100 years is called Sannyasashram. The Indian culture is associated with these 4 different ashrams. It is in fact intact. In spite of the changes due to place, time and situation, this system of ashrams has not got degraded. No matter how much you try to adapt the Western ideology, no matter how much you try to live your life without understanding your own culture, in spite of that, you just cannot ignore these 4 ashrams. I'm not talking about 100 years, 200 years, or even 2000 years. You were born one day. Your parents sent you to the school when you were 5 years old. Your education got started. After about 20 years or so, you reach to a position. For a higher position, you have to study 2 or 3 years more. So till about 23 years, you are still studying. This education that you are getting today, due to the lack of a proper cultural context, it is simply inappropriate education. And with this inappropriate education that you have acquired now, you start with your own livelihood. Our elders assume that now the boy has grown up, so now it is the time for his marriage. And this is the reason that once we have begun our job or our own business, that we enter the institution of marriage. And if you look around yourself, you will find that normally the age of 25 years is the time when one enters this Grihasthashram, a new chapter of life. The Brahmacari Ashram that I'm talking about, that Brahmacari Ashram, unfortunately, all over the world has undergone a huge depreciation and devaluation. And the extent of this degradation is so much that one feels embarrassed to even talk about it, but we are least concerned and bothered about this. The first brick of the foundation of This Brahmacari Ashram is Matridev Bhava. The second brick is Pitradev Bhava. The third brick is Acharya Dev Bhava. The fourth brick is Prakriti Dev Bhava. The time when we are born, our fists are clenched. And finally, when we leave this body, our hands are always open. The person whom we love with such intense affection, we take off his wristwatch, we take off his neck chain, and we also take off all the rings on his fingers. A cloth that we would never ever use to even clean the floor, we cover him with such a cloth and bid our farewell. This is the respect that we pay. We should re-evaluate where we are standing. So these are our 4 foundation stones. Till the time they were given due importance, the system of ashrams has always continued to flourish in this cultural country of ours. Matridev Bhava, Pitradev Bhava, Acharya Dev Bhava, and Prakriti Dev Bhava. The child who is going to be born, he already has an association of more than 9 months and 10 days with his mother. The mother who is pregnant now, even before conceiving, she is aware of the fact that she is going to be a mother. One of the nature's fundamental characteristics is already present in this would-be mother. A farmer sows a seed in the field, and when it rains, the seed breaks open and sprouts up. And when a tiny little green leaf is visible over the soil, the wave of joy that this farmer feels is comparable to the joy that the would-be mother would feel once she conceives a child, because she is constantly feeling that something alive is sprouting within her also. From that very moment, she starts making efforts to teach her child. And her first education would be to make her own character pure and righteous. And once she has developed this pure and righteous character, the blood that is flowing through her veins in the body is also reaching the child in her womb. And there he is initiated in education. In our Bharatvarsh, there are no schools and universities for character building. In our country, the schools and universities for character building are the womb of the mother. The mother who is aware of the fact that she is going to be a mother and whose motherly instincts have reached an ultimate level, such a mother has been called Mahamata. She is Mother Nature. She herself is Tripura Sundari. And due to the lack of such divine experiences nowadays, the mothers of this generation are just a fragment of the vast nature. They haven't developed the motherhood. To be a mother is very easy. To be just a fragment of the vast mother nature is not a big feat in itself. But if the motherhood hasn't fully developed, it is useless to be a mother. You are just adding a big burden on this Mother Earth, nothing else. Because you are not aware of your responsibilities and not aware of your due rights. The extent of awareness that you should have for your country, for your family, for a person, because of the lack of that awareness, nowadays motherhood is very hollow and superficial. And that is why people like Shivaji are not born these days. This is the reason why people like Lokmanya Tilak and Mahatma Gandhi are not born these days, whereas the mafias and the goons are on a boon these days. Because as you sow, so shall you reap. So if the mother has developed a righteous character, the child will have a righteous character. So one thing is clear, that till the time the motherhood is not fully developed, we cannot contribute for the betterment of our country. That's why I said the first brick is Matradev Bhava. The child can put his mother on that divine pedestal as Matradev Bhava only when the mother has passed on those characteristics on to him. The mother who can't pass on these characteristics to her child is not entitled to be called as mother. The second brick of this foundation is Pitradev Bhava. A father who is not aware of what he is going to do is not entitled to be called a father. To be a father is very easy, but one needs to develop the fatherhood, and for that, knowledge and sacrifice are necessary. Everyone just wants to be a father the easy way, and that's how it is. But have you ever asked this question to yourself? That although you are a father, but have you ever tried to develop that fatherhood inside yourself or not? Do you really deserve to give birth to a child? If that is not so, you need to think again. A society's or a country's degradation begins from me, myself. And no one else is responsible for this. So if the motherhood is developed, if the fatherhood is developed, then the family would also be developed. If the family is fully developed, the society would be developed. If the society is developed, the country would develop on its own. This is the reason why I was saying that the 4 ashrams that we have, till we develop the knowledge and the science of these ashrams and it reaches across to everyone, we just cannot expect this country to have capable and strong citizens. We cannot expect our country to have strong and responsible citizens. We cannot make our families prosper because our education system is not right. This education system is just a means to earn our livelihood. And this is an unfortunate thing in our country. The ashram systems that have continued to flourish in the heart of our country, those great ashram systems were completely ruined by the policies of the foreign rulers, and as per their policies, they forced us to adapt to an inappropriate education system. Lord Macaulay is considered to be a great educationist by the people of this country. But what he really was can be made out by his statements. He sent one of his reports to the British Parliament. If the British government wishes to rule upon India, they must strive to destroy their culture and all their language systems, and strive to convert them to English babus so that the British Empire can be reinforced. In our country, in the earlier times, before the Britishers came, scholarships were given on Sanskrit and Farsi. So Macaulay gave the first information to British Parliament that please discontinue these 2 scholarships so that the educational foundation of the Indians should break off. And you can find easily such submissive people in this country who can be easily dominated by the English people. This was what Macaulay did. Now you decide whether he was a scholar or a cheater. But unfortunately, the education system that they established is prevalent and functional in our country even today. The rulers of this country have their foundation in the English system, and they are still driven by the English ideology and their education system. And they try to impose this ideology on this country. Our constitution says that every bureaucrat of the country is a servant of its people. But in the reality, you may have observed that a bureaucrat doesn't treat the people any better than his servants. Till the time the social structure doesn't develop and gets alert and responsible, and the individuals don't get alert and responsible, we cannot expect any revolution in this country. Revolution doesn't mean that you hold swords and bombs in your hand and get violent. A revolution begins within ourselves. Revolution is the name for a change within. And that revolution is possible through the medium of saints, is possible through the attained ones. They do not educate you or teach you anything. They live their own life, and observing their life, we start to wonder that how can they live in such a state of bliss all the time? And why is that state not possible with our life? And the quest for this begins with your own spiritual journey. It was previously asked that how does one recognize a guru? Living along with a person, sitting close to a person, if you can get a feeling of the inner peace, some sort of an inner transformation, you get introduced to your grandeur, you get to experience your divinity, you can be very sure that he is a great person, and through his guidance there is a possibility of change in your life. If there is a person who is very intelligent, he may even have won the Nobel Prize, but if sitting beside him makes you feel your life as inferior, you are filled with some kind of guilt, you feel that you are some kind of a defaulter, then be sure that this person may be very intelligent but is certainly not a saint. The flowers that we see are very beautiful and give nice fragrance. But after blooming, they are there only for a few days and then they wither away. But still, their fragrance is there in the nearby surroundings. Such is the life of the saints. You don't know when they come and go away. So in this country, the foundation of our culture was the Brahmacari Ashram. In the Brahmacari Ashram, our acharyas, our rishis, the primary educators, their main concern and focus was always on the person's development. That person should have a feeling of love towards his soul. That person should have some good ethical values. That person should have a strong character. And that strong character can help him to do something for the society, for the people around. He should be dedicated for the progress of the society. Arrangements for developing the person like this were there in that education system. Our education system lies in sacrifice. We teach sacrifice to our pupils and not greed. And this is the reason when our pupil stays in the Gurukul, he learns to suffer. He serves the others. He does not serve himself. Rather, he serves that ashram, he serves that premises selflessly. He serves that Mother Nature. And by doing all this, he acquires a great characteristic. And so the growth and development of his soul and his intellect happens by itself. Nowadays, in our country, or any other country for that matter, if you look at the newspapers and the advertisements, you will find that almost 70 to 80% of these advertisements are about obesity, how to lose weight. There are a lot of herbals, lot of medicines, allopathic medicines. Lots of things are suggested to us. But no one among the people suggesting tells us to go in a village, stay there for a few days and do some hard work. You don't need any medicines at all. Our consultants are sitting in the AC. They call their patients also in the AC and give their advice in the AC. This has no concern or relation to the real life conditions in the world. Till the time you do not get associated with the soil, you are not going to achieve anything at all. The tree whose roots are underneath the soil, only that tree is visible above the soil. That is why it is necessary to study the culture. In the Indian culture, we developed the concept of 4 ashrams. These ashrams play a big role in the creation of yourself. The first step has been to experience the existence of yourself and get introduced to yourself. One who is able to achieve this goal, it would mean the welfare of the family in which the person is born. It also means the welfare of the village in which that family lives. It also means the welfare of the country in which that village is. And this is the fundamental wisdom behind all this, which was propagated till about 200 years back in all the villages of our country on its own. This Brahmacari Ashram for 25 years makes a person complete, self-content, self-confident, willing to serve others, grateful, and gives the person a feeling of dedicated life. And this introduction is the foundation of the next 3 ashrams. The second ashram is the Grihastha Ashram. The education and the teachings that we have acquired in the Brahmacari Ashram, we now try to implement all of them in the real life world. Someone is a doctor, someone is a soldier, someone is a teacher. All of them contribute their services for the betterment and welfare of the society and the country. In return, they get to earn their livelihood and maintain their families. A prosperous Grihasthashram has always been the birthplace of many great people and saints. It has even been the birthplace of many incarnations. So all these avatars that were born, they were not born in the sky. They were born in this very world only through some biological parents. The family which has really developed parents, only there can you expect Siddha Mahapurush, wise social reformers, avatars to take birth. And the families where the wall of Grihasthashram begins to crack and fall apart, the Grihasthashram begins to break apart, that is the beginning of the breaking apart of the society and the country also. The places where we have intact Grihasthashram, where the Grihasthashram is given its due respect, in those places only women are regarded and motherhood is respected. Only such a Grihasthashram can give strong members to the family and citizens to the country. So the matter of the fact is that a culture which has a strong Grihasthashram, which is wise and intelligent, is abundant with love and joy, that culture is really great. Coming to the next ashram, the knowledge that we acquired during the Brahmacari Ashram. In today's era, we study the theory, and to implement it practically, we go to the workshop or the field. The knowledge that has been acquired needs to be expressed and implemented through some practical means. This was not so in the earlier times. The knowledge that we used to acquire was implemented practically within the family or the society for the betterment and welfare of the family and society. Make them enterprising, make them happy and content. And while doing all this, we try to pay back as much as we can that we learn from our teachers, who have now entered the Vanaprasthashram to make arrangements for our education. They put in their efforts for our good character building, all the sacrifices that they made for us. We really feel grateful for all those sacrifices. And realizing that the time has come for a payback, we graduate from Grihasth to Vanaprasthashram. And the Grihasthashram that made us prosper, the Grihasthashram that itself helped us to leave Grihasthashram behind and move ahead, dedicated to the gratefulness of that Grihasthashram, we accept the Vanaprasthashram with full respect, and we will strive our best to contribute ourselves in the great endeavor of providing education to our grandchildren. And in this process, the purpose of our being gets really utilized. And it's then that we receive an order from our inner being, from the saints, from the Mahatmas, from the Gurus, that now you are going to be relieved. You are going to go beyond the 3 ashrams. So now it's time to graduate and enter with full respect into the 4th ashram, which is your last ashram. This is Sannyas ashram. And moving past the corridors of the Vanaprasthashram, we retrospectively look back at our life. We let go whatever was not so good and retain the good part as a souvenir of this Vanaprasthashram and move ahead on our journey. And in this ashram, we put in all our efforts for our ultimate development. The science of all these 4 ashrams is this, that every ashram is a big learning experience in itself. And moving through all these ashrams, we try to pay back what we received. And finally, we try to move out of this entire system and conclude our journey in this body And then it's time to begin our journey into the next world, beyond the ashrams. And when it so happens, we feel a great gratitude towards these 4 stairs, through which we have been able to move to the 5th stair. Looking back at these 4 stairs, we move on to the next 5th and 6th stairs, which is our final destination to attain our real self. We continuously offer our gratitude to these 4 ashrams that really helped us. This country has had such a prosperous cultural tradition, which must undergo reformation. And the day this work will begin, that very day this country will get fortunate. This country is great. Its greatness has been experienced by everyone. And those who want to do it now, they need to rectify their working system. They have to be alert and responsible towards their ashrams. I am not aware of the fact that whom all do you really own your debts to, but to yourself it is for sure. Try to clear off this debt to yourself also. The body which has been given by your parents, which is not really yours, you must try to utilize that medium, that body, in order to attain what you have really been here for, to attain the real self, to attain that bliss, that state of pure consciousness. And once you attain that, continue to give your respect to this temple through which you have been able to attain the Almighty.